Today we have TEDx event. And before I came to this venue, I actually saw many families. I saw parents with bouquets of flowers. And I also saw kids. I saw at least 13 families with kids, with parents, and I saw principals. I saw teachers. I saw coaches. And I saw administrative staff who work together for all those kids, for their brilliant ideas that is connected through one thing, which is our language. So let's start from the original ideas of language. And today I'm going to talk about specifically how language and one language tool can make us different. We had a lot of brilliant ideas just now. And these ideas belong to human beings. And these ideas are expressed through language only. Language makes us different. But have you ever wondered, in some of the moments that define us to be different, those moments are so difficult to express. It could be about love. It could be about inspiration. It could be about an idea that hit you like the lightning. Your heart was racing, but your mouth empty. And this paradox, it becomes so apparent in the age of AI, when language becomes so easy, too easy. We have machines that can produce language for us. So here comes the question. In the age of AI, where should our originality go as human beings? Let me start with something small. Last week, we had Father's Day, right? One of my friends wanted to send her father a message for Father's Day. And to make it perfect, she went to ChatGPT. It gave her a line like this: "Dear Father, Happy Father's Day. Thank you for your endless love, your support. I love you." She read it and said, "This is not how we talk." So instead, she sent her father something like this: "Arriving Saturday, your noodles still beat anything in the city." And immediately, we got her father's message like this: "Fridge full, light in your room fixed." That was it. If you grew up in a Chinese home, you would know this is our way of saying, "I love you." Right? Instead of giving the word, a bowl of noodles, a light that is fixed, both say something symbolically. For example, noodles mean, "I take care of you." The light in your room fixed means, "You always have a place in my home, no matter how far you go." So we call this a conversation of metaphor. What is a metaphor? Metaphor is when we would use one simple way to express something that is too complicated. It could be about father's love. In our Chinese culture, we prefer not to define love, but through actions, through food. So this is an example that human beings actually live metaphors and live in metaphors. Let me give you my example. An example that I live in metaphor and I walk through a metaphor every day. I come from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Guangzhou. Anyone who has been there? Give me a hand. Okay, very few. We are very new. We are in the southern endpoint of Nansha. So this is our campus. What can you see there? If you are taking it as a metaphor, what would be that big word? Let me tell you something first. At my university, there's no schools, no departments. Instead, we created 2 terms. We call it hub and thrust. And these 2 terms represent the academic units that we have. And even our campus shows it. Our campus does not only hold classes, it's also a reflection of how we believe education should be. As you can see from this campus picture, in the central part, there's something like an open and shared space, right? And that space is connecting with corridors and pathways to different parts of the campus. So, metaphorically, if you are considering what is a hub literally means a central point, a central node that is connecting to the other parts. But this definition is flat. It's correct, but there's no temperature. What we live in every day is the time when you actually walk through this campus and you actually experience our beliefs in education. That is, hub would mean to break down the silos of knowledge, to break down different disciplines and to merge it into an open area. And the thrust, if you go to ChatGPT, it will tell you physically it's about a strong movement of force. But at my university, it's an academic unit. It means a dynamic, ever-changing academic direction. Before us, nobody has actually used this hub thrust terminology. And it doesn't come from textbook. Instead, it comes from more than decades of conversation, of exploration between the Hong Kong campus and the redefinition here at Chinese mainland about how we want to empower our future generation. And this is how we live in it. We change it every day and we define it every day with our students. And you will be our future students. Metaphors, they help us think, they help us speak, and they help a lot with science. Please look at this ball. Look at the hand. If you release that ball, what will be happening? It will keep rolling down and down and down through the hills and valleys till it reaches the end point, right? Okay. This is a metaphor that is used by the 2024 Nobel Prize in Physics laureate, Professor John Hopkins. He's using this metaphor to represent how human beings remember and retrieve our memory. And now please look at this. Think about our memory. When sometimes we have a blurred piece of memory, we have a blurred face that we are not so clear about. Our brain will immediately trace to the lowest point at that valley. So he created a physical term that is called energy landscape. In that landscape, there's hill, there's valley, and if the computer, AI, because later he reinvented to be John Hopkins network, is doing the same thing with a noisy, blurred input. And if the computer or AI train a network just like human beings' neural network, it will immediately find the closest path with the lowest energy, so that this becomes the earliest network, neural network, in the 1980s, and later becomes so important in every day with our AI training algorithm. So this is another metaphor that helps us to understand messy, complicated scientific facts into something so simple. Let me give you another example. And this example actually comes from my students. But before that example, I would like you to think about what we have been talking about, studying from our emotion to architecture to science. Everywhere we can see that is about creativity actually starts from something simple, something about our language, something about our thoughts, then it goes further. And human being is playing the starting point role. And then AI tells us, and it helps with the story. This comes from one of my students. You can see these are sketches, simple sketches. And in my class, we are talking about each student's research topic. And this student actually is doing some research on how she will be able to collect hydrogen from desert. Because we know in desert, there's enough sunshine. Okay. And one day in my class, I found she was actually doing some sketches. And I asked her, what are you doing? And she was saying, I like drawing. So actually here, I'm comparing photon with a water spot. For example, in this one, Professor, you could see the sunlight becomes the source of the photon. And then with two photons, one is with longer pole, which means it has bigger energy. With enough sunlight, this photon will be able to activate more electrons. But you see, with another photon, with smaller poles, it won't be able to activate such an action. So, what we could see from these two photons are they have smiley face. I put it here because I believe my student actually put love into science because she wants to deliver this to somebody else who doesn't know photon, but she really, just like her, loves life. And this picture is what I got through ChatGPT. Continue with my student's story. AI continues with the metaphor. But if we go back to the very beginning, the faces and the photon together with the warp pole sports come from my students only. There are also a lot of more examples in which my students use every day. For example, a student who's studying 3D printing, he told me 3D printing is like a tree that is growing. Another student who's studying on advanced materials, he told me he is believing that there are some enzymes that can actually eat or live on plastics. So these metaphors, no matter they are what we use every day, or it goes to Nobel laureates, or it goes to someone who has passion with life and at the same time science, are all connected through metaphors. And metaphors become our scaffolds. And finally, what I want to share with you is that we are facing a future that is full of uncertainty. Nobody knows what will be happening. But in a place like this, with creative ideas and with brilliant support from our families, what we can do is to create a future rooted in metaphors, co-created between man and AI, and it could be delivered with care. Thank you.